Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 56 of the Discussion 5. We are the Brothers of Discussion, here to talk to you about the 5 most pressing matters of our favorite Detroit Red Wings. We usually come to you Mondays and Thursdays, but during COVID-19 and our quarantine and our lockdown, only once. Yeah. I am at ClinkMatt on Twitter. That is my brother Mike. He is at Michael_Clink. He loves pugs. And we're both here thanks to the Hockey Podcast Network. More importantly, we are the Brothers of Discussion. We like to talk wrestling every Thursday, so follow us at BOD Podcast. And BOD Podcast.
We talk about wrestling every day, but we record it on Thursdays.
We do, I'll tease today's episode right now. Talked with Devin of Hold the Mayo Sports and Rippin. Talk to the Nashville Predators. And just a quick tease, he asked me, would I prefer to watch when I go to sleep the Office type show on Netflix, or would I go through the WWE network? And I said, I absolutely would never watch the WWE network to put myself to sleep. I said, I had the realization. I was like, I've been kind of, if not fully engaged and live tweeting every major wrestling show for the last 2.5 years. So the last thing I want to do when I'm going
is even more wrestling.
WWE network.
I know. I love when we get days off. I thought COVID was really going to help us out in that regard. Maybe a little less wrestling, but nope, not WWE. We're going full throttle.
We'll give you guys the deets on the rest of that on that conversation. We're just going to have a quick little sample because it's a sample actually from Devin's show and Hold the Mayo and Rippin Biscuits. But we're both a part of the Hockey Podcast Network, which you can find at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at HockeyPodNet. You saw at the start of the show, if you're watching from YouTube or Instagram, that is what this is hosted on, the Hockey Podcast Network, which is also hosting Tales with TR. It's a hockey podcast hosted by Montreal Canadiens first-round draft pick from years past, Terry Ryan. Ice Analytics podcast coming to you every Friday. They just hit their 500th follower, so big news for them. House of Hockey podcast every Tuesday, hosted by Breezy and Ray Ray. We've got new shows coming out it seems like every month. We've got another show that if you go to @HockeyPodNet, you can follow along. So I highly suggest following along there because they are covering every team everywhere. That's our slogan. But there's more. So head on over to @HockeyPodNet or Hockey Podcast, thehockeypodcastnetwork.com to check out everything available to you. Mike, we might have the NFL draft in early June. I do kind of hate that everybody keeps early and it's in quotes.
NHL draft.
No, Mike, we're talking NBA draft today.
Oh, you said NFL.
Did I?
Yeah, it's on the tape.
Oh, shit.
This is early June here on April 25th and 26th. Matt, we get a June draft for the National Hockey League.
That's so funny. I was so fucking mad at you. I was like, yeah, no shit, the NHL draft.
Oh man, this is some weird timing because there's a lot of things we're gonna go over. There's some the head cheese Batman himself was in some interviews here talking about the contingency plan for COVID, and this draft might take place when we still have NHL games to play. We might still not only have potentially playoff games to play, which is one scenario. Baseball does their draft halfway through the year, or what, in 2 months into the year.
Yeah.
But they might still the NHL is so, there's so many things tied into that draft. I'm looking at you, restricted free agency. This could really be a big change. And obviously there's some slotting that we still want to figure out here, and they just want to wipe all that off the map. And what's going on, man? How far? The important thing is, how far could the Red Wings drop?
So
could it be nothing?
The positive is the suggestion right now is they go back to the old rules. Now that could not happen, or that idea could just not be put into place. They might just go, no, let's just stick with the regular rules, and we'll have a lot of them can almost win the draft lottery. Anybody not going into the playoffs, but Bob McKenzie was who's always reporting. It's a major guy to follow if you just want to follow along with like trade deadline day or whatever's going on. He always gets the scoop. But Bob McKenzie's the guy who made mention that they are talking about going, first of all, this early June draft, but then also the rules would change to those old draft rules, meaning we couldn't drop past number 2, which obviously just guarantees us at that point Alexis Lafreniere or Quentin Byfield. And even though, there's always we'll once there is a draft, we'll start talking who we think we should take. And once we know which pick we're going to get, we'll have a much better idea of what we want to talk about. So there's obviously like the Rossies that we could talk about. But I mean, if we're really talking realistic here, it's probably going to be Byfield or Lafreniere in that situation, which is pretty great. You get a guy, you either get Evgeny Malkin type player in Byfield, or you get the game-changing player that will be on all of your tickets and posters and your website for the rest of his career with the Detroit Red Wings in Lafreniere. So super huge positive. Now, the negative. There would be so few trades, Mike, in a pre-playoff draft because there are going to be so many teams that and the playoffs might be expanding. They haven't come to a decision on that. So more teams thinking that, if you're even in the 20th spot, you're not going to want to trade any guys away, any contract dumping, which a team like the Detroit Red Wings would greatly benefit from. Take over some contracts, get some draft picks, and load up or start pulling in as many players now. And we've been doing redrafts of years past, starting with 1998 and 1999. If you guys want to hear that, go back to the old episodes. I think it was a great time. But what we're noticing in those is how many guys are taken late in those drafts. So it's not about just having first-round picks. I mean, we see so many first-round picks just end up like topping out as like a fourth liner. So when you're trying to load up a team that's so desperate in need for talent and to fill out an entire roster, you need as many draft picks as possible. And this could be where the Red Wings start taking in players. They take draft picks to take those players, and then they're taking these salaries on. Where this would be a great year for the Red Wings to do that. That kind of thing could be completely gone.
Yeah, it kind of feels like this is a half-brained idea here. It doesn't make a lot of sense because one of the things it would do is something you and I have been preaching since basically, at least I know I've been preaching it since even before the show started. I hate the NHL offseason. I hate it. I hate the restricted free agency where if you want to sign a good restricted free agent, it's usually a guy in his early to mid-20s. This guy's just about to hit the apex of his career. He's about to start in his prime. But if you want to do that, you got to mortgage the whole future. Multiple firsts, second-round picks. It's a horrible trade-off. So these guys end up signing, these coffin contracts with the teams that drafted them because nobody wants to touch those.
It's going to confuse that situation.
This could potentially be the end of that. Or maybe like we waive it for 1 year. Or I don't know if they make you, maybe punt, on a season where, maybe you end up giving up next year's draft picks.
Well, it's confusing because the free agency period wouldn't even start, right? It's just going to be the draft.
Right, but how do you even figure out how to give up that value?
How to give up draft picks?
Yeah, because what do you, we're planning on taking a free agent, so all that stuff wouldn't even happen. We would just have the draft. Or do you do it where we do free agency after the playoffs, and whoever you took in the first and second round just gets ousted. They just go to the other team who lost the restricted free agent.
No,
so you just purposefully, wow, he wasn't on our draft board. I'm not sure why they drafted this piece of garbage in the first round. And it was just to spite the team they're going to pillage their restricted free agent.
I think I might have the solution. Because the free agency period would happen after the draft anyway. So whatever draft picks, so we're still kind of in that situation. So whatever draft picks you have to give up goes to the next year's draft anyway. But it does confuse the situation with, still having to be in the playoffs, free agency not being right around the corner. The negative out of that is just how you're not going to be able to walk away from the draft with like these immediate plans. You're still going to have an entire playoffs to go through. But I think that sort of adds to this idea that, where you're talking about contract dumping trades, like that kind of thing goes away. And if there were any restricted free agents that were going to move for draft picks, like that goes away. So a lot of that's like that's the part that bums me out, because we would have been the team that kind of found some ways to benefit from that. Yeah. It does get confusing too with trades, because technically we're past the trade deadline, right? But the season's not over. So are there teams that can still do a trade? Like does there have to be? So here's the big one that just popped in my head. Does there have to be a draft pick moved on draft day? Or do they just say no trades? Because there could still be a team that finds out, hey, you're going to be involved in the playoffs now that we've expanded it. I don't know how many teams they're going to, we're going to have 30 teams. There's only one team not allowed in. We're going to have 30 teams in. So everybody but the Red Wings is in. So are you trying to make your team better to see if maybe you can, make a push, be the number 30 team, and then win the Stanley Cup? So this is just it's really confusing, because now I'm trying to figure out, like, how do you stop that from happening? Because when they, like, the legalities of it, right? Like they always treat it like we're trading stocks or something, and they have these little notes that you gotta keep in mind, and they have, here's rule 7.36. So is somebody going to draft a new thing of rules for everybody that they have to take a look at to make sure, like, no, you can't just trade to upgrade your team for now. You have to trade for draft picks. You have to have at least one draft pick and blah, 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 blah. Now this is just completely fucked in the head. This is a terrible idea. For us, it's good because we might get Byfield or Lafreniere. For the rest of the NHL, this idea is completely fucked in the head. I don't get it.
I don't know if, like, they're so, this whole point, it all came from this interview with Bettman. And they were talking about, we're concerned about these kids. We got to get them drafted. And it's like, why? I mean, I know we're losing years of their career, so you want to get them started on their trajectory. But everything's on pause. Everything's waiting. So it feels so odd that the main reason that they're so concerned with pushing the draft, we got to do it in June. We got to get it going as soon as we can. Why? Is it just because they're so concerned about that NHL calendar year? Like, they're worried about kind of rolling over into next season? But I mean, well, couldn't we just kind of move everything out like a month or two? You know what I mean?
Here's what I'm going to say. This is another tease for that conversation with Devin Snow. The thought popped in my head is, why is it so important that we finish this goddamn season when this is the league that has had multiple lockouts in the last goddamn couple decades?
Yeah, this season we need to finish.
Like, well, we're going to be locked out in another 2 seasons when the CBA expires, so we need to finish this one. What the fuck? Like, you can't tell me that this is the time to put players' health and then their families' health in jeopardy to finish this season when they can't even get like these fucking CBAs done in time. Like, they really don't give a shit about the season. It's always gonna fucking come back to the little chess pieces to make sure and they're not even playing against like the players. This is like a chess game they're playing with just finances. So if they can move a pawn forward and the whoever, if there's like an artificial intelligence in charge of the other side of the chessboard, it at least has to take that extra second before it destroys the NHL. So that extra second, they get to make a few more pennies. And that's what this feels like. Like, we just need those extra couple seconds. And it just, I don't know. I mean, but back to like. I mean,
as far as counting those pennies, I mean, the NHL makes the majority of their money, getting things on TV. That's how everybody does it, right? Commercial revenue. There's another contingency plan here, Matt. So they're talking about panicking, and we got to get this draft. We got to get it going in June. Get these kids drafted. They don't know where they're going to play. Like, okay, that's fine. But, Matt, they also want to, like you said, finish out this regular season. And it's not quite what I meant, but they might have the hockey festival. I've been preaching about, on my soapbox, if you will, where they might pick 4 arenas and have them do like 3 games a day. Obviously, in a festival, there's usually a crowd in attendance, but in this particular one, it would be empty stadium games because they want to make sure they can have arrangements for both teams, the proper locker rooms, broadcast area, stuff like that. So they don't want to do it at your local hockey arena, which was what I really wanted. Yeah. But yeah, they really want to finish up this regular season. That for reasons, Matt, it has to be money related. It has Obviously. To be TV related. There's no other reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time we even looked at the NHL standings, how many teams are just like scrambling to get into those, proposed playoff spots, when what we could do is just extend the playoffs and just skip the regular season and just jump like right into the playoffs. Because I mean, then teams would have to play the Red Wings.
Right. And the Red Wings have to
let them play games that mean something.
Could you imagine being a Detroit Red Wing? Like, let's say, what if it is Dylan Larkin? What is Steve Yzerman's perspective on this? We're going to tell these guys you have this many, you're off for a couple months. Now you got to come back. And Dylan Larkin, has an ACL, MCL tear, and he's out for whatever the whole next season is because they had to rush this back for games that the Red Wings don't even need to play because their season is done. It's decided. Like,
yeah.
I feel like there should be like a sign off. Like you could be the team that's like, no, I'm out. I'm good. And that's part of the reason why they just need to make a large a decision that spans across the entire league, where it's just, no, the regular season's done. I'm sorry if you thought your next couple wins would have put you in a playoff spot. We're just done. We're gonna move on to the playoffs now. You should have won games earlier in the season if you thought you needed, Why can't that be said? Why are there so many?
Now the regular season's important?
Right.
Huh?
Yeah. No.
Now you're playing your backup goaltender half the games.
Yeah. Just do points percentage. Do points percentage for how many games played. Rank them that way, which is probably how the NHL should be seeded anyway. Or I guess that's how it gets seeded at the end. They should just do a better job of assigning points, is what I mean to say. But do the points percentage. If you're out, you're out. I'm sorry. That's how the playoffs would work if you played 82 games. So I'm sorry that we're cutting it short, but there's a global pandemic. So this is what we're doing. It's just like putting a team like the Red Wings in a position to just lose more games. Like, going back to the Dylan Larkin example or Anthony Mantha, like, why would Mantha play another game this season? Zadina, like, don't put him out there. A guy who was injured for a couple of months. I don't care if he's fully 100%. Rest of the season, just done. Bring up the entire Griffins team. I don't care. Keep everybody as safe as possible. If we need some trade bait, let's keep them nice and clean and injury-free, COVID-free. I mean, could you imagine the Red Wings having someone contract coronavirus for games that have nothing to do with them? And then we have to come out and go, well, Dylan Larkin died from corona because we just had to have the last place team play these last 15 games. No, that would be terrible. Like, it'd be awful for us as fans, obviously, but man, poor Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, excuse me, allergies kicking in. It's not like we only have one or 2 games left.
Choked up about the thought of losing Dylan.
I don't want to lose Dylan. We got about 12 games left for everybody. Most teams have played about 70 games. So it is a fraction of the schedule, like, what is that, 15%, something like that. But I mean, you've made the point beautifully, Matt. We've had stoppages in play before. I don't think we need to have more of this regular season. I think you just jump into the playoffs.
I like it. Yeah, more of this. We don't.
We get it. At this point, we get it.
There's probably been too many times that a solution for the NHL is probably less hockey would do. Hockey solves the NHL. Less hockey.
Less
too
of this
much.
Crap. Yeah.
We're playing when? June? Yeah. Oh God! And that's a normal season. Jesus.
Right?
Middle of summer hockey.
I was going to say one other thing too. That on a serious note, that Bettman made a good point that most of these teams, unless they're super duper rich, we just had the NFL draft, right? And we got to see all these dudes' homes, and they're on foot when you play football. Obviously, the hockey players are not on skates. We haven't seen them on skates like 6 weeks now we're going on. So, man, the other thing they want to throw in to just further put another wrench in this whole project is they want to do a training camp. So that's another opportunity. Dudes get hurt in training camp. So now you're going to ask Anthony Mantha to suit up for a pointless 2 to 3 week training camp and then play out 10 meaningless games. And I know we're kind of talking out of both sides of our mouth, where it's like if you didn't want your games to be pointless, maybe not be historically awful, Red Wings, and you could have been in our 30-team playoff.
You could have made the cut.
There's one team that didn't do it.
No, we absolutely
don't know. It's such a punt, like, for them to say we need the draft, but we also need training camp. So draft, training camp. It's just. I think for us to be talking out of both sides of our mouth, they're kind of guilty of that too. We immediately need these kids on teams, but let's slow it down, have a training camp, have a few days off, let's travel abroad,
I'll make the argument, like, training camp would need to happen to get these guys, like, back in shape.
It's a different beast being on, skates as opposed to being on foot, but I'm just...
I will say...
Do these guys... I don't know.
So here would be the timeline. Would be they would announce, like, the July playoff or restart of the regular fucking season, and then like, it's not gonna. We don't have to watch it. There's just gonna be probably some media there, but then they get started in June just to kind of. I mean, it would be the same thing if they didn't do training camp, because then those guys would hear about it and then they'd go, well, shit, I got to get in shape. And that's every team besides the Red Wings. But I do like I got to give a shout out too to one of my favorite shows that I listen to is Puck Soup, and they were talking about, like, the same scenario, and they were like, God damn, could you imagine being the Red Wings and having to get up for this shit? And even from a national perspective, they're saying, well, why don't we just give the Red Wings the first pick? And this is from guys from Toronto, from Boston, from New Jersey, and they're still the Red Wings probably deserve that first pick. So give them the first pick. The rest of the NHL will figure themselves out, and we'll go from there. And they actually, you know what, I will say, they could do that this year, because there's no doubt who's going number one. It's not like they could just do the Red Wings draft day, like, have that be a show on the NHL network on NHL.com. It's Red Wings day. Red Wings are going to announce who they're taking for the first pick. Everybody else drafts in September or October, but
we just want Lafreniere in the building. That's right. What we want.
Well, you know what? Here's another interesting thing too. What if one of the playoff teams ended up getting Lafreniere? Are they allowed to play? Like, why couldn't, like, he's under contract, why couldn't he play in the playoffs? Like, that guy would probably make a huge difference, especially for one of the shit.
At least be on the fourth line. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's too many questions here. I like what you said, is that they had, like, a half-brained idea here where there's too many things that need to be figured out that just haven't been completely thought out. And it's something for me as a Red Wings fan where I I was excited. I said yes right away. But you know, when you try to put a level head on it and you think about it, it's like, how the hell does this work? And we miss all those extra the potential for more.
Yeah, it's
sorry.
You know, they're so panicked about, you know, when the NHL started, and they're like, are we going to be the first sport to come back?
Oh, fuck. God,
I know. So I got to think, you know, baseball, unless they do something absolutely ridiculous and do like double headers, like starting, I don't know, July 1st or something, and play like 81 days and 162 games in 81 days, which would be pretty hilarious. The NFL is looking about, they might come back in October. They might punt a month.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. And then the NBA, they're still not sure, but it sounds more and more like they're just going to do playoffs.
Well, I thought, like, the last I saw in the NBA is they're just like, well, we would make so much money. No, we're good. Next season's coming. Tune in November. Like, that's what I saw. It was the NBA was just like, we don't need to come back.
Like, when you think about the year, like when I think, okay, it's June, July, and they say the dog days of summer, you know, you're thinking of baseball because that's all you have. You know, you're not at NFL training camps yet. NBA and NHL have already finished their playoffs, so you only have baseball. So the one thing that we were thinking about getting out of, you know, this COVID thing is we kind of reset the calendars a little bit. So maybe, you know, the NHL and NBA get dragged a little bit more into summer. The NFL kind of moves a little bit. Everything kind of shifts. And then you get more than just baseball having to carry the sports world over the summer. You know, which I think a lot of people would like. You know, baseball is it's kind of fallen down the, you know, America's favorite sport hierarchy there. But Matt, based on everything we've talked about today, it doesn't sound like the NHL wants to be a part of that. It sounds like they want to get back to the calendar year that they're comfortable with, that they don't want to reset, you know, the whole board.
Yeah, I don't know if they. Well, I mean, we know our NHL, like they don't like change. That's, I mean, how many times have I said this is the good old boys league since we started this, and there would be not only people inside the league, but fans just upset if anything had to change like that. But I will say, like, I still, the argument from me is that there probably should be less. I mean, there should be less football. There should be way less baseball. Basketball, there could be none. I'd be fine. And yeah, there should be less hockey. Like it's, I know why there's so much, and it's because of, again, we talked about it, the TV contracts. But everything for me, like, it should just be shrunk down. Like, we should have this season all wrapped up by the end of April. Just whoop, take a whole month off. Just slice it right off. Don't worry about those first couple weeks of June. Maybe let's pull some teams out of the playoffs. I am the worst hockey fan for suggesting that, but like, it's just too much. They've got to pull back on everything. Yeah, I don't know about adjusting.
I think the Seattle citizens are devastated by your opinion, Matt. I think they want to get out on the ice as soon as possible.
Well, they can go. Yeah, head out there, have fun.
Was it the Seattle citizens, like I said, or is it the Seattle Cthulhu's? Have they announced that yet?
I think they pulled back on their announcement because of all this stuff. Because they were going to, and now it's not going to happen. Yeah, bummer.
Yeah.
All right, well, Mike,
we did it.
One of those things that's not a bummer is having your nuts shaved. So,
I got to do that today. I forgot.
Yeah.
That's reminded me. Yeah.
No problem. Sunday's your day to shave your nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the day of rest, when I rest my new lawnmower right over my hairs and get them nice and short and trim.
Well, today it's going to almost hit 60, so I'm probably going to be able to open up the window in my bathroom today. So after mine are all shaved, you can just stand out in front of the window, let the cool breeze roll on through. I'm looking
outside, and I rent my house, and so the landlord actually mows the lawn, and the grass is looking really long right now, and it made me think, ooh, I got to mow my grass. So it's a nice reminder there. But Matt, let's hear that ad copy, because I'm proud to hear it, because I actually love this product.
Yeah, we really do love this thing.
Actually,
if you've got
to sit there like this, yeah.
if you've got to mow your lawn, use the Lawnmower 3.0 from Manscaped. It's the redesigned electric trimmer. It took them 18 months to perfect this thing, Mike. So you got to check out the Lawnmower 3.0. Millions of balls are about to be nick-free thanks to this thing. Mike, we always say it's premium. This is quality. This is the thing that we are so proud to talk about because our nuts
I like that
are breathing.
LED light. Yeah, so I don't. I can see everything going on down there. I usually do it in the dark because it's kind of romantic. I light a candle. It's really.
They call it the place where the sun don't shine for a reason. But there's also that 7,000 RPM motor with the quiet stroke technology. Anything going down in that area that's a quiet stroke is a positive thing. You can't
I always
about
have
the
a quiet stroke
stand.
after I use mine.
Exactly. You've got that the charging stand set up for rapid charging, so it goes right through the USB. I think charges as fast as possible, and it gives you 90 minutes of cutting time. So if you really want to take your time,
I use
some
that
candles.
whole 90.
Yeah, I let the shower. I let the shower run the whole time so that my bathroom gets all fogged up and warm. There's nothing better to do in these terrible, horrible COVID times.
Put on a little "Coming in the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins, and I'm in the steam and just trimming my balls for 90 minutes. Oh, it's great.
So you're listening to us talk right now. That means you are one of the lucky few that knows about this ahead of time. So if you want to get your Lawnmower 3.0, if you want to have as crisp, clean, nuts areas as we do, head on over to manscaped.com. Use promo code THPN to get 20% off your Lawnmower 3.0 and get free shipping. That's manscaped.com, promo code THPN, manscaped.com, promo code THPN for 20% off and free shipping. Woo! All right. What do I want to do here? Let's talk about this interview coming up with Devin Snow. He is the owner, operator, creator of Hold the Mayo Sports, and also runs the Rippin Biscuits podcast, which is about the Nashville Predators. You can find everything Devin Snow at HTM Sports, and you can at HTMsports.com. Mike, Devin Snow has an app. It's like, damn, look at this guy go.
He's got an app? This guy's a madman.
So just go to your app store and search HTM Sports. You get all the Hold the Mayo blogs and this full conversation, which I'm only taking a snippet, but it was a fantastic time talking with Devin. We've been trying to hook up since October, so when the Hockey Podcast Network started. He's a huge pro wrestling fan too, so there are some snippets in there. He definitely wants to head on over to the Brothers of Discussion podcast someday. But if you want this full conversation, head on over to Devin Snow's content. Again, Hold the Mayo Sports, HTMsports.com, at HTM Sports on Twitter, and his app, HTM Sports. You can get this entire conversation, but I wanted to give you guys a snippet where we do talk about the NHL trying to start up again, how the Red Wings are doing, how the Preds are doing. And Mike, this guy's holed up in Nolens, so he's definitely a character. And man, I can't wait to get. We have to have him as a third on this show at least one day. Ton of energy. Check out his show and enjoy this conversation, everybody. And don't forget, everybody, check us out because this will be me signing off for the show because we'll just sail off into the sunset after this. But it's at BOD Podcast for pro wrestling, but at BOD Hockey for everything hockey. And, of course, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. That does amazing for us. And don't forget to check out manscaped.com and use that promo code THPN to get 20% off and free shipping. All right. Everybody, here I go. I'm not looking at the camera, but we are signing off. Thanks, everybody. Bye. I couldn't be more excited. I was going through the DMs that we have. You were like the first person to send me a message, and then the baby comes along, like I was just talking about, and all hell. My schedule, man, is a complete cluster. I can't begin to describe it. It's incredibly tough to schedule anything, but yeah, I've been looking forward to getting on the phone here with you.
So who really has a schedule right now? Let's just start by saying that, okay? Because it's just like, who really knows the time? Okay, I saw a quote on Twitter. It was something along the lines of, I feel like my life is Las Vegas now. Okay, I've assembled all kinds of debt. We drink whatever time of the day, and we don't know what time it is. And that's
yesterday was the first day, man. I was going for a walk, and I looked at my wife, and I was like, I literally have no idea what day it is, because we're trying to figure out, like, that was my first time really feeling it. And I looked at her. I didn't laugh. I wasn't smiling. I looked at her with, like, the fear of God, and I was like, I really don't know.
Just don't know.
Gone. Yeah, this is it. This is where it starts.
So, all right. So tell us about what you got going on. So obviously y'all are doing the Detroit Red Wings thing with the Hockey Podcast Network. Okay. It's still you and another guy, right?
Oh yeah, it's my brother. We hold on to the moniker, the Brothers of Discussion. So we've switched around the destruction to discussion. But yeah, we were doing pro wrestling, and then that was our boy Ish caught up on that show, and then said, "Hey, you guys want to do some hockey?" Because we used to dabble a little bit. But yeah, now we're covering the worst hockey team, maybe of all time. Yeah, well, you know, when we talk the grand scheme of things, definitely in the top 3 best hockey teams of all time.
Absolutely.
This season, easily one of the worst seasons any hockey team has ever had. If you want to play the analytics game, if you want to play the eyeball test, thank God it ended, because holy shit.
Well, hey, at least you could say this. At least you could always hang on to this and say, hey, you can't truly say that they were a losing team because it wasn't completely final. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't. No, you're not going to leave on any.
I'm going to shit on my Red Wings. We were the only team that was officially eliminated from the playoffs. So we are. If they do that 31 team playoff thing, it'll be complete. It won't make any sense. They have to cut it down to 30 because the Red Wings eliminated themselves. So it
would just be targeting the Red Wings.
Yeah. If they do that, I guarantee the Red Wings will win the cup this year, and then everybody else turn around and point back.
Come on.
If they throw the one team that was eliminated from the playoffs back in there, it'll be like Major League. You know, they're all gonna band together. It'll be like I can't think of any of those characters' names, but you've seen the Cleveland.
Oh, dude, trust me. The one guy I'm thinking of is the black guy that. Oh man, God, dude.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes, Charlie Sheen. I can't think of a single character.
What's the guy that just could only hit the piss out the ball, but if you threw the ball any other way, he would miss. I can't remember his name, dude. But that whole series of Major League was just incredible.
Oh yeah.
Charlie Sheen too. Who would have ever guessed that Charlie Sheen would just turn into the monster that he turned into throughout those years?
From my perspective, that was the last good thing he made. And somebody might throw me under a bus and say, "What about this or that?"
But man.
No, man, hell no! Oh, keep that shit away from me, man. Oh, I hated that show. Man? Absolutely not. No way, man. No
Even the
way.
Ashton Kutcher version.
No, so in that era, right, there were 2 different kinds of people. There were the CBS people and the NBC people. So I was watching 30 Rock, The Office, Parks and Rec, Scrubs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I guess you're right, because I was watching Office on Netflix. You know, I was almost like double dipping, but in a weird way. It was like I went to a different world to go get my Office fix. You know?
Oh yeah.
You had to watch Office like 10 times over and over.
Yeah, I'm jumping into their podcast too right now. I the last thing you want to do on a podcast is start recommending other things. You know, pause this, everybody.
Wait,
go listen to another. But no, this Office Ladies podcast they're doing, and now that just gets me right back into like watching the whole series for like the 90th
there's an
time.
Office podcast?
Yeah, it's hosted by Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey. So you know, who played Angela, and then
oh my God,
Pam. Yeah, there we go.
Oh my God, dude! I can't believe you just told me that.
Yeah, you get to binge 24 episodes right now.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are they bringing in like all the different Office characters?
They are, so far at least. I'm really looking forward to getting some Michael Scott quips or something in there.
They haven't got Michael Scott in there yet?
No, not from what I've heard, but somebody who's probably listened to every episode so far is probably running me down in their head.
Yeah, no.
But shoot.
So all right, with that being said, I got one question for you, okay?
Yeah.
When do you go to sleep at night? What would you prefer to go to sleep at night watching? Because this is a big deal for me, bro. Yeah. When I go to sleep, when I'm exhausted, I want to watch something when I'm going to sleep. Even though I'm going to fall asleep on it, I want to put it on. And for me, WWE Network is like, it's the best because you can go put 98 Attitude Era on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you prefer to do something along them lines to fall asleep on? Or would you prefer to fall asleep on The Office?
Oh, man. So
this is a big one. This is gonna hurt your look.
This is me defining my brand as a pro wrestling
got
show.
A page. Yeah.
I should jump in and go, oh, give me 1998 Raw, hands down. I have watched so much goddamn wrestling since this podcast started, man. Yeah. I like the live tweeting. Me and my brother have been live tweeting every major wrestling show for the last 2.5 years. If I can, like, what would probably happen was that I was watching pro wrestling before I hit the sack. So I'm going Office 1,000%. I'm going to trash what is probably the thing I spend the most time watching right now and just say there's no way. Like, what would happen if I start watching that, man? I'm going to start getting heart palpitations. I'm probably going to start live tweeting it. I'm going to be going back and forth on my phone. It's going to be a mess. If I watch The Office, though, just
chill out.
Laughing to myself. Up against.
You ain't gotta tell nobody about it.
Exactly. Oh, there's way too much pressure watching pro wrestling now, man.
Oh man, especially now, dude. And the thing about it is now is like you can't really criticize them because they're the only thing that's really out in sports.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They're the only thing that's presenting a product.
Dude, I got to give a shout out to my last episode because my brother and I got into we agree a lot, which is bad for podcasting. This last episode, though, just the two of us staring into each other, staring like death rays into each other while we were recording on Zoom this past week. Oh my God. We're trying to figure out, like, is it good for pro wrestling? Is it bad for pro wrestling? Or, what side do we go on? Do we hope that they can be more creative and keep doing these no audience shows?
Right.
Do we just pat them on the back for that? Or do we say, no, it's got to be better than this? And holy crap, man. Everybody, episode 126.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, I had to break that sucker up into 2 different parts for Instagram, man. We try to stop at an hour. These last couple weeks, though, there's so much shit to talk about. We've been jumping into like an hour and 40 minutes.
So what are you doing on Instagram? You putting it on IGTV as the full episode?
If we can fit it, yeah. We got to break it up, yeah, because they only let you do those 60 minutes. So we got.
I've never put in that much. Like, that's what I was asking. I've never put in that long on IGTV. The most I'll put on IGTV is like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I've never. Yeah, I didn't know it was like that. Like you could put like full pods like that.
Oh yeah, it takes a while. Yeah, you got to cut her down. It takes. I've been converting all the files to. I don't know if anybody cares.
H264.
What was that?
H264.
No, it's actually the size of it. So you really got to downgrade the quality, but you focus on the sound. You get some video. It helps out. I actually get. We get more people actually listening on IGTV than we do on like YouTube. So we're like, all right, cool, we'll do that then.
Gotcha. It's nice, man, because like, and this is why I do this, man, especially with the Hockey Podcast Network, and it's why I jump around because, dude, like everybody does things different. Like for me, Facebook's my biggest platform. Like we got 5,000 people following us on Facebook, and that's where, like, if we do a stream, we go on Facebook, and
you have to.
Yeah, exactly. So IGTV, I'll go put the clips and shit that I make through Final Cut. I'll put them, on IGTV and shit like that, and that's how I roll. Always trying to find different things to do. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm gonna throw. All right, I almost guarantee Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the guy that he's the guy that was. I don't know. I never met him, but I watched his videos, and he's the one who taught me, like, anything you make, one piece of content, it's got to go out 30 different ways. So yeah, we've got IGTV, we've got it going out on like smaller posts on Instagram and stories and Facebook and Twitter. I mean, it goes everywhere, but we got pretty lucky, like kind of running into IGTV on accident.
Yeah, no, it's a new thing that came out like within the last year, and people really didn't know how to use it. So, I guess everybody's using it differently.
Hey, I could be using it totally off, but as long as I'm the only one doing it wrong, then I'll get caught, right?
No, I think you're doing it perfect, man. All right, so kind of back to the ice here. Okay, going back to hockey real quick. For me, I can legit say, hey, you cannot say that the Preds were not a playoff team because they were in the last spot when all this shit hit the fan. Okay. And it was an inconsistent season for the Preds. I don't know. If you had to ask me off the top of my head right now, I don't know what the series wound up being with Detroit and the Preds, but I do remember Detroit beating us in the beginning of the season. I do remember that.
I mean,
I don't.
If I had to put money down, I'd put money down on us losing every season series. But
we lost the first game 5-3, then we won 6-1, and then I don't think we played again. Yeah, I don't think we played again. We might have played one more time after that, maybe.
I think we might have had one scheduled before the end of the season, but I don't know if we ever got that one in.
So what are you seeing for hockey? What do you think they're gonna do? Like what do you think they're gonna do with this? Is it gonna be another season?
Oh God, here's the thing, man. We've been pretty critical on the NHL. I wish that they would cancel it, but it's from like a business perspective. So there's a ton of like part-time workers that just are missing out on money or being able to say that they're just outright fired because there's certain NHL teams that are still hanging on to they're hanging on to part-time employees saying, no, they're still on. We could start the NHL season any day. So technically they're still working with us. But then there's also all the StubHub ticket holders who, I don't know if you've heard about this, but they're stuck in a contract with StubHub until the season's officially canceled. So any game that they have a ticket for, that money's still gone, even though the game will never be played. So what I want them to do from that perspective, let's just cancel it. Let's be a good league and just do that. And then the only thing that should exist, if they do anything, is a playoff. So this is where it gets complicated, right? Then there's the variables of, even with the NFL starting,
it has to be done before August.
Yeah, and then you've got the president saying August, and then a second later he says September. So it's like, all right, I've seen Trump do that before. So we're talking September or October. But even on that end, the NFL is saying if we get started, there isn't going to be anybody in the stadium. So the reason I bring that up is I just don't know if who are we doing this for, right? We're just doing it to make sure we get the TV contracts going, because it's not going to be the same level of hockey. And you've even got like Drew Doughty, who got caught saying to Greg Wyshynski, who writes for ESPN, that no, it won't be the same NHL if we come back without a crowd. And to me, that speaks volumes. That means that we are only going to come back to make sure that TV contracts are being fulfilled, or to make sure that there's some more revenue going in advertisement wise, because at least one NHL player, maybe he's the only one that thinks this, but I'm guessing that's not true. No. So are we just bringing these guys back with let's say an increased chance of injury to these guys because they've been off for so long? Think about how many guys get injured in every sport at the start of every season. And then you've got a whole nother season that's going to start, training camp starts in September, and then we get going again in October. So are we going to ask these guys to play a month and a half, 2 months, after sitting down for 2 months
in their house,
and then come right back to work like a month later?
Right.
This just sounds like it's going to, to bring it to pro wrestling, like you were asking before. I'm always fighting myself thinking, why am I watching this? Because
me too. God.
Yeah, so many people get hurt from this stuff, and it really, like, I don't know.
Well, the lives that it damages too. I mean, wrestling, all industries, wrestling, man, people are closed-minded to this if they don't know it. It's the most brutal industry on humans. I mean, during and after and all that. I mean, and I'd love to, dude, I always said, man, I'd love to write a blog or do some intense research on dead wrestlers. I swear to God, dude, because I promise you that there's a rhythm there.
Well, so you've got those problems, and then you've also got like the WWE going to Saudi Arabia and working with I'm trying not to say Prince Mohammed.
I couldn't tell you his name.
Yeah. So you've got like literal blood money going into this company. So those are the types of things I fight with being a pro wrestling fan. And then I look at the NHL, and now they're talking about putting their players' like health on the line just to make sure we can get a couple of months of playoffs in. And this is the league that throws out lockouts, man, like it's Halloween night, and that's the candy grab bag. I don't know why it's so important that this season finishes, and the what was it, the 2012 and 2005. I think both of those years are wrong, but and then those seasons don't even happen. So what the hell? What are we doing? What's going on?
Is it
everybody? Just one quick sign off. Just want to thank you for tuning in to the Brothers of Discussion and the Discussion 5. Find everything at BOD Podcast, brothersofdiscussion.com and bodpodcast.com. We have all the links to the podcast and our old blogs, everything there. Very special thanks to Devin Snow. Again, if you want to hear that whole conversation like we mentioned, go to @HTM Sports. That's Hold the Mayo Sports. Go to htmsports.com, and you can also find him on his app, HTM Sports. So again, thank you again to Devin Snow. Check out that full conversation through his portals. And if you want more Brothers of Discussion, again, that's @BOD Podcast. It's @BOD Hockey on Twitter. And our Instagram is brothers_of_discussion. And find us on YouTube as the Brothers of Discussion under our new channel. So you can watch all these videos here, keep in contact with us, and make sure you don't miss a thing. Thanks again, everybody.